Here's my 3-step process for investors. A feeler call. Brian, just sort of giving you a heads up, I'm doing some development stuff and I'm partnering with people on a per deal basis. Is that even something that you and Jana would be interested in hearing about if I had something pop up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
With you.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, I don't have a deal today. I've got a handful that I'm looking at. So give me a few days, and then when I have something that I think we're going to lock down, I'll give you a shout and see if you want to do it. Or if we didn't know each other as well, I'd say, why don't we grab a coffee, or we can even hop on a Zoom, and I just want to talk you through my process and make sure you're cool with how the process goes. I want to make sure you know what you're responsible and what I'm responsible for, etc. Does that work? He says, great. All right. So we get on a Zoom. I do the in-person or Zoom appointment, and this is where I explain, like I said earlier, you're going to write me a big check. It's going to cover everything. You're going to co-sign a loan. I'm going to do all of these things. Those are my responsibilities. And then I'm going to give you a bigger check. And I describe the process. And then again, I'm going, does that work? Is that a model that you guys are comfortable with? Yeah, sure. And then I say, cool. I think we're going to have something in a week or two. I'll call you. And if it's the right time, we'll do it. And then there's the pitch call. And the pitch call, again, I'm not pitching him on working with me. He's already told me he wants to. So I'm just going, hey, you said you guys would be interested. I think I got a live one. We just contracted Hill Circle at 565. That's what I'm trying to buy right now. And here's what I think we're going to make. It's going to be views. It's going to be da-da-da. Here's the comps. Do you want me to send you over the basics? Yep. Awesome. And then I think the other key is early on, I think I felt like, man, I'm just trying to get somebody to throw me a bone. When in reality, I'm offering Brian like 40% ROI on his money. So he's not exactly doing me a favor. It's a win-win. I want to work with him. But it's not a favor. I'm making him a bunch of money. And so I finally realized, I have a pretty desirable thing here. So I don't need to come in like hat in hand, like, will you please help me? No, I have some real value that I'm providing. And Alex Helton used to say, if you walk around the mall handing out an actual gold bar, like some people are going to say no because they're not sure what to think about it. But somebody's going to say yes, and you need to think about what you're doing that way. Like, I'm offering you money. That's actually pretty nice. And so I think what's key is when I'm in those moments and I'm talking to Brian, awesome. I'm going to send you the basics. If you don't mind, I got to get an investor on this. Can you guys talk? Can you and Jana talk and let me know by tomorrow afternoon? That way, if it's not the right time for you guys, I can call somebody else. I'm not doing that to manipulate or add pressure. I really do need to get an investor in, but I also want him to sense that there's some value here. Other people want it, and I want him to feel like, do I want to let this go or not? So that is my little process. Questions about money? Money's easy, right? That was the scariest thing for me early on. It was like, what if I find a deal? Yeah, hell yeah, it's scary.
That's where I'm at right now.
Well, I think
Trying to find the money.
Yeah.
Everything else. I've got 3 lots to build up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need the money.
So run a pro forma, figure out what you can make someone, and then realize that you're not looking for money, you are offering money. So if I go to Brian, I am asking him to write a check. Like right now, my infield deals, I need like $90,000 to $110,000 to make like 50 grand, right? For their cut, which is pretty, I don't know if I'm supposed to say damn.
You can say it.
It's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. So you put that together and you are the person holding the opportunity. Brian doesn't have this opportunity. I have the opportunity. Brian's got some money, but how does he turn his 100 into 150 in 14, 15 months? That's a tall order. I can help you with that. You give me 100, I'll give you 150. Like I said, he's not exactly throwing me a bone.
Switch that mindset.
Yeah, so your mindset is, I have an opportunity. Who wants a piece of this? This is pretty awesome, right? So, all right.
Yeah. And
Did you find value in this? Here's my little 30-second pitch, and this goes back to whoops, easy now. This goes back to the desiring a win-win. If this is of interest to you, I have a very, very thorough course. Like this says, this little presentation is like 20%. The full course meal is a actual class that I created. It has like 30 something videos. It's got recorded investor phone calls. It's got pro formas. It's got comping properties, all this crap in it. It's at dealarchitect.org. And I did a coupon code that I made today, Excel, ACCEL. If you do that on the website, you'll save $250. So, I do not suggest that you buy this course if you aren't really interested in doing this, because it is not super cheap and it is not like rah-rah motivational. It is like nuts and bolts. You do the course, you can go do a freaking deal tomorrow. So if you are serious about it, I don't think there's a better resource out there. So that's my 2 cents for it to be a win-win. If you're not looking to do this, don't waste your money. And then there's the book coming out December 6th. So there you go.
What's the time sink on this? Like, I've got a couple contracting businesses, wife, kids. Like, what would a time investment be on there to do?
So if you're not GCing it, it's pretty low, man. Like I said on that video, I think it wasn't 20. I'd call it 12 to 15 hours in. So probably the only thing that doesn't account for is that certainly I put a lot of time in building up a pipeline of deals over time. So I don't know how to value that exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, but if you have a lot, if you have a deal, man, you're. I did it all in the margins of my day job, a very full day job, and it was not like too much. I wasn't working till 1 a.m. and ignoring my family. So if you're not GCing it, it is magnificently high leverage.
So Brian covered several great things, right? So I'm a huge proponent on mindset. So, he talked about that. I mean, you got to have the mindset in order to do something like this, right? You have to have that strong mental mindset that, you can do that, right? You're also talking about, how do we come about, how do I come about properties or building relationships with maybe investors and a lot of those things. You guys have heard this probably a million times out of me, but, you've heard the whole saying that, the more hands you shake, the more money you make, right? It's the way you build your relationship with people, right?
Yeah.
So he's talking about, whether it's going to Ren, going to different meetups, Tommy runs a meetup, things like, it's coming to this kind of a deal where you're meeting people, and because I tell people all the time, you need to come. Yes, the content's great, but you never know who you're going to meet in this room that's going to be your next partner.
Yeah.
Or, investor or whatever, right? So that's why, I say that all the time, right? And you hear it all the time. People talk about your network, is your net worth, right? You hear that all the time, things like that. It's so true. That is all true. And then what Brian talked about is, okay, when he said, yeah, if I approached you, would we invest? Yeah, with Brian, because, we've known him for a long time. There's that, but we've seen him in action, right? We know the kind of person he is, right?
Yeah, it has less to do with knowing each other a long time, and it is observing each other for a long time, right? So I've known a lot of people a long time who I won't work with because I've known them a long time.
But it's the concept of you do business with what people you
No,
like and trust, right? Exactly, and so it's just. A lot of that, so he covered a lot of that, but I think a lot of that is very, very important to be very successful like Brian is, right? So
it is so relationship based. A quick funny story. So after I left that band, my plans did not go at all the way I saw them, and I ended up in a bit of a desperate place where I had a new baby, newly married, our first house. I have no career, I have no college degree, nothing. And I unintentionally sort of became very, very selfish because I was just terrified of how I was going to survive. And anybody I met, it was basically like, how can you help me? Who do you know? How can you help me? So I sit down with my brother-in-law, who is the opposite of that. And he's exceptional at building relationships. To give you a really ridiculous example, he's a videographer. He went out to LA and met this guy, had one meeting with him, and left that meeting as the lead videographer on Tom Petty's world tour. That's how good he was at making relationships with people and getting them to buy into him. So I sit down with him and I'm like, dude, what do you do? I don't get it. And he basically goes, man, you're very, very selfish right now. I was like, crap. Because I knew he was right. And I knew why I was. It wasn't because I was a jerk. It's because I was so afraid. And he was like, anytime I sit down with somebody, all I want to know is, what do you care about? What are you excited about? How can I help you get that thing? With you, I'm like, I wonder what I can tell him that'll get him rolling on these lots. Who can I send to Brian and Jana who needs a good, and I think I have sent some people to you for commercial help.
Yep.
My concern is, how can I help you and you and you? And it is like, it's like freaking magic. It just takes care of itself. I have what I need. I have who I need. But it comes from, so I had to snap out of it that day at lunch with my brother-in-law. I knew he was right, and I thought, okay, so that's what I forgot. That's what I lost sight of because I'm so freaking terrified. And it immediately made a difference. So it is all relationship-based, and the more you figure out how you can add value to others, it's just going to come back to you.
You just hit it right there. How you can add value.
100%.
You look at how you can add value. We do that all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do, we'll do searches or all kinds of comps and everything for people. We don't say, hey, that's going to cost you this or that.
Yeah.
Right?
You guys have done it for me several times without us closing a deal yet, to be honest.
We've done, broker opinion of values for Brian, right?
Yeah.
Which, take Jana's a former commercial real estate appraiser, so she's our secret sauce, so that comes in, handy because she can do the evaluation. But she uses the same skill as if she was still an appraiser, right?
Yeah.
And she puts a lot of hours into these, right? But we do that for free, right? It's adding value because every time we do that, it always comes back around and pays us 2 or 3-fold for what we just did, right?
Yeah.
So adding value. There's 2 other things I know we're running short of time I wanted to talk about too is, the whole mindset, right? Is, your self-worth, what you and how you believe about yourself and who you are and what you can do and what you can accomplish. Your self-worth is also your net worth, right? So from that, and then I thoroughly love Brian and what he does because, Jana might have mentioned it at the very beginning, but, we are just, we are big and very passionate, about basically, the, what's your saying, Jana? You always use?
Improve your standard of living to improve your
Your standard of giving, right? Brian does that with every one of his deals. What's your charity? What do you do?
Well, we give 10% of our net profits. We give a portion of that every time to whatever school we're zoned for. So
Right.
part of that was I really don't have a problem with gentrification, frankly. But I do think that it's easy to go into a neighborhood. The deal that I did there was in East Nashville. The one that was on that pro forma was in North Nashville along Trinity Lane. And that area is changing, and I don't live there. So it's easy for me to swoop in, make 200 grand. I'm taking that 200 grand out of the community and taking it down to my little house in Franklin or whatever I want to do with it. And so, particularly with my wife having some background in education, a way that we thought, okay, we can invest and keep some of this wealth and opportunity that's been created by the appreciation of the value of these areas in that area is to give to the elementary school. So we get to go to the elementary school and give them a check for $3,000, $5,000, something like that. It is crazy, the reaction. Like, that is so unheard of.
Yeah. Go on to Instagram, look at
crazy.
his videos of doing that, right? So, I mean, that's, we've always known Brian is a great guy and things like that, but, that's one of the things that we really try to preach is, increase your standard of living so you can so you can improve your standard of giving. Sorry, I have a hard time saying that, but Brian does a great job. He's a great example of exactly what, we hope everybody does.
So that's really nice of you to say. And I want to tell you guys, I'm not really good at that. Like, that's really unnatural to me. I grew up sort of poor, and so my natural instinct is to completely hoard it all in case it all goes away again. So I implemented that specifically to keep myself in check and keep my mind right, because what I tend to do is make some money, I'll make that commission on that big deal, and like, oh, now everything's okay because my bank account is this. And that's just not true. And so me giving the money away is not because I'm so naturally generous. I am here to tell you I'm genuinely not. Some people are, my wife is, I'm not. I don't give very naturally. And so that was specifically to remind myself that having more money is not why my life is meaningful, and it is not why my future is secure, because I can lose it all. And that is my way of reminding myself. I say that to say, that's really nice of you to say, I'm not a super generous person. That is very difficult for me to do. And that's sort of why I have to do it, is because I know that I don't want to do that. So I'm outing myself, but I do it. In fact, it is kind of fun. That deal we just did, I have not given that money away yet. So I have to go.
All right. Well, I'll come and help you.
I got a check for you,
Yeah.
30 grand. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Hope that was helpful. Yeah.
I hope that was great.